In 1991, Caterpillar stopped making the D11N Bulldozer and replaced it with a newer model. Sounds normal, right? Except here's the problem. Hundreds of mining and construction companies refused to give up their D11Ns. Some are still running today, 34 years later, with over 80,000 hours on the clock. Companies have spent millions rebuilding them, rather than buying new machines. Why? Because sometimes they just don't make them like they used to. What you're about to see are 10 bulldozers so incredibly built, so perfectly engineered for pure power and durability, that replacing them became impossible. We're talking about machines that weigh as much as a blue whale, that can push entire buildings, that were designed before computers even existed in equipment cabs. These aren't just old bulldozers. These are the machines that owners look at modern equipment and say thanks but no thanks. Number 10. Komatsu D475A. Let's start with a beast that redefined what heavy equipment actually means. The Komatsu D475A isn't just big, it's catastrophically massive. Weighing in at over 238,000 pounds in its heaviest configuration, this machine was Komatsu's answer to the question nobody asked: what if we made a bulldozer that's basically a moving building? Introduced in the 1980s, the D475A was designed for the kind of work where you're not just moving dirt, you're reshaping geography. Open-pit mining operations, massive dam construction projects, land reclamation on scales that most people can't even visualize. This machine didn't just push material, it obliterated obstacles in its path. The blade alone weighs more than most pickup trucks, and when you drop it and throttle up, the ground literally shakes. What makes the D475A irreplaceable isn't just its size, it's the engineering philosophy behind it. Komatsu built this machine during an era when Japanese manufacturers were proving they could compete with and even exceed American heavy equipment standards. Every component was overbuilt. The undercarriage was designed to survive conditions that would destroy lesser machines. The powertrain delivered reliable, consistent performance hour after hour, shift after shift, year after year. Operators who've run D475As talk about them with genuine reverence. The machine provides feedback through every control, letting you feel exactly what's happening with the blade, the ground, the material you're moving. Modern bulldozers might have cameras and sensors, but they've lost that direct mechanical connection that allowed skilled operators to become one with the machine. The D475A demanded skill and rewarded it with productivity that still impresses decades later. Mining companies that own D475As face a constant dilemma. Modern replacements exist and offer better fuel efficiency, lower emissions, and more operator comfort. But when you calculate actual production over the machine's lifetime, accounting for reliability and the ability to handle the most brutal conditions without breaking down, the math keeps favoring these older machines. Some companies are now on their third or fourth major rebuild of the same D475A units, and they're still more cost-effective than buying new equipment. Number 9. Caterpillar D10. Before there was a D11, there was the D10, and this machine holds a special place in heavy equipment history. Introduced in 1977, the Caterpillar D10 was the largest bulldozer in the world when it launched. It wasn't just an incremental improvement over previous models, it was a revolutionary leap that changed expectations for what a bulldozer could accomplish. The D10 came with a 700 horsepower turbocharged diesel engine and weighed approximately 180,000 pounds. Those numbers might not sound extreme compared to modern ultra-heavy equipment, but the D10's real magic was in how all that power was delivered to the ground. Caterpillar's engineering team created a machine that could generate massive pushing force while maintaining surprising agility for its size. This balance between power and maneuverability made it incredibly versatile. What made the D10 truly irreplaceable was its arrival at exactly the right moment in history. The late 1970s and early 1980s saw massive infrastructure and mining projects around the world. The D10 became the backbone of countless operations, from coal mines in Australia to construction projects in the Middle East. It proved itself in every conceivable terrain and climate, building a reputation for reliability that became legendary. The mechanical simplicity of the D10 relative to modern machines contributes significantly to its longevity. When something breaks, it's usually a straightforward mechanical failure that can be diagnosed and repaired without computer diagnostics or specialized electronic tools. Field repairs that would sideline a modern bulldozer for days or weeks can often be completed on a D10 in hours. This translates directly to uptime, and in the heavy equipment world, uptime is everything. Stories about D10 longevity border on mythical. There are documented cases of D10s that have logged over 100,000 operating hours across 40-plus years. These aren't machines sitting in museums or running occasionally for demonstration purposes. These are production machines still doing the heavy work they were designed for, still generating revenue, still justifying their existence every single day. When equipment can outlive the careers of multiple operators, that's not just good engineering, that's immortality in mechanical form. Number 8. International Harvester TD40. International Harvester might be better known for tractors and trucks, but the TD40 crawler dozer proved they could build world-class heavy equipment. Introduced in the 1960s, the TD40 represented International's commitment to the heavy construction and land clearing markets. This wasn't a tentative entry into the sector. This was a statement machine built to compete directly with Caterpillar's best offerings. The TD40 featured International's own turbocharged diesel engine producing around 375 horsepower, substantial power for its era. But what really set it apart was the robust undercarriage design. International engineers, drawing on decades of experience building agricultural and industrial equipment, created track systems and frames that could absorb punishment that would cripple competitors' machines. The TD40 earned a reputation for running in conditions where other dozers would bog down or break. What makes the TD40 particularly irreplaceable is its connection to a manufacturer that no longer exists in the construction equipment space. When International Harvester exited the market, part support eventually dried up, which should have meant these machines would disappear. Instead, owners became incredibly resourceful, fabricating parts, adapting components from other equipment, and creating an informal network of TD40 specialists who keep these machines running through ingenuity and determination. The TD40 community represents something special in the equipment world. Owners aren't just operating old machinery out of nostalgia or stubbornness. They genuinely believe these machines are better suited to certain applications than anything currently manufactured. Land clearing operations particularly favor TD40s because the robust construction handles stumps, roots, and rocky terrain without the delicate electronics and emission systems that plague modern equipment in harsh environments. International Harvester's legacy in heavy equipment remains strong despite the company's absence from the market. The TD40 stands as testament to what they achieved and proof that great engineering transcends corporate survival. These machines continue working decades after their manufacturer exited the business, maintained by operators who refuse to let them fade into history. Number 7. Allis-Chalmers HD41. The Allis-Chalmers HD41 was their flagship crawler dozer, and it earned devoted followers through sheer toughness and reliability. That distinctive orange paint became synonymous with machines that just wouldn't quit, and the HD41 exemplified everything that made Allis-Chalmers special in the heavy equipment world. Introduced in the 1960s, the HD41 was a large dozer by the standards of its time, weighing around 98,000 pounds, and powered by an Allis-Chalmers diesel engine producing approximately 375 horsepower. The machine was designed with a focus on serviceability and durability rather than cutting-edge features or maximum power. This pragmatic approach resulted in equipment that was straightforward to maintain and incredibly difficult to break. What made the HD41 irreplaceable was Allis-Chalmers' understanding of what contractors actually needed. They didn't chase horsepower numbers or technological gimmicks. They built a machine with well-balanced capabilities, excellent visibility from the operator's seat, and controls that were intuitive and responsive. Operators could focus on the work rather than fighting with the equipment, which translated directly to productivity and job satisfaction. The HD41's undercarriage was particularly noteworthy. Allis-Chalmers engineered track systems that distributed weight effectively and absorbed shock loads without transferring excessive stress to the frame. This meant the machines could handle rough terrain and abusive conditions while maintaining structural integrity. Many HD41s still running today show remarkably little frame damage despite decades of hard use, a testament to thoughtful engineering. When Allis-Chalmers eventually left the construction equipment business, HD41 owners faced the same parts availability challenges that International Harvester TD40 owners experienced. And just like the TD40 community, HD41 owners refused to give up their machines. They created networks for parts sharing, developed alternative sources for wear items, and maintained their equipment through skill and determination. The fact that HD41s remain operational decades after manufacturer support ended speaks volumes about both the machines and the dedication of their owners. Number 6. Caterpillar D9L. The Caterpillar D9 series has been in production for decades, but the L model holds special significance. Introduced in the late 1980s, the D9L represented the pinnacle of mechanical bulldozer design before electronics and computer systems became standard. It delivered approximately 410 horsepower and weighed around 107,000 pounds, making it a large but not overwhelming machine that excelled at versatility. What makes the D9L irreplaceable is its position as the last truly mechanical D9. Later models introduced increasingly sophisticated electronic controls, monitoring systems, and emissions equipment. The D9L had none of that. It was pure mechanical power delivered through proven, reliable systems. When you pressed the throttle, you got immediate response. When you moved the blade controls, hydraulics responded directly without computer mediation. The D9L became particularly popular with military forces around the world. The Israeli Defense Forces, for example, operate heavily armored D9L variants that have become legendary for their durability and reliability in combat engineering roles. These machines push through obstacles, clear roads, and demolish structures under conditions that would disable more sophisticated equipment. The fact that militaries specifically seek out older D9L models rather than newer D9 variants speaks powerfully to the machine's irreplaceable qualities. Construction and demolition contractors also favor D9Ls for their straightforward operation and exceptional power-to-weight ratio. The machine is large enough to handle serious work, but not so massive that it requires specialized transportation or limits job site accessibility. This sweet spot of capability made the D9L the go-to machine for countless contractors, and many of them have held onto their units far longer than typical equipment life cycles would suggest. The aftermarket for D9L parts and support remains robust, which helps explain why these machines continue operating decades after production ended. Owners can still source components, and the mechanical simplicity means that skilled technicians can fabricate or adapt parts when necessary. This ecosystem of support ensures D9Ls will remain productive long into the future. Number 5. Komatsu D155A might not be the largest bulldozer on this list, but it absolutely deserves recognition as one of the most irreplaceable. This medium to large dozer, introduced in the 19th, struck a perfect balance between capability and practicality that made it extraordinarily popular with contractors worldwide. The D155A typically weighed around 80,000 pounds and came with a turbocharged diesel engine, producing approximately 300 horsepower. These specifications put it in direct competition with Caterpillar's D8 series, and the D155A proved more than capable of going toe-to-toe with the established industry leader. What set it apart was Komatsu's meticulous attention to reliability and build quality during this era. Operators who ran D155As frequently described them as the most pleasant bulldozers they've ever operated. The controls were smooth and precise. The operator's station provided excellent visibility and reasonable comfort for the era, and the machine delivered consistent performance regardless of conditions. The D155I didn't have the intimidating presence of ultra-heavy dozers, but it had a confidence-inspiring solidity that operators appreciated. The D155A's undercarriage components were engineered with generous tolerances and robust materials, resulting in exceptional longevity. Track links, rollers, and idlers routinely exceeded expected service life, often by significant margins. This durability translated directly to lower operating costs, making the D155A not just reliable but also economical to run. Contractors who calculated true lifetime operating costs often found their D155As were their most profitable machines. What makes the D155A truly irreplaceable is how well it fits certain applications, even decades after its introduction. Residential land development, road construction, and medium-scale earth-moving projects don't necessarily benefit from the largest, most powerful equipment available. The D155A provides exactly the capability these projects require without excess capacity that would waste fuel and increase costs. Contractors with D155As often discover that modern replacements are either too small or unnecessarily large for their needs, leaving them in a situation where the old machine remains the optimal choice. Number 4. Caterpillar D8L. The D8 series represents one of Caterpillar's longest-running and most successful product lines, and the D8L model stands out as particularly irreplaceable. Introduced in the early 1980s, the D8L continued the D8's tradition of being the versatile workhorse that contractors could depend on for any job, anywhere, under any conditions. Weighing approximately 90,000 pounds and powered by a 335 horsepower turbocharged diesel engine, the D8L occupied a sweet spot in the Bulldozer size range. It was large enough to move serious quantities of material but compact enough to work in relatively confined spaces. This versatility made it the backbone of countless construction and mining operations around the world. The D8L's mechanical drivetrain and controls exemplified mature, proven technology, refined over decades of real-world operation. Caterpillar had been building D8 since the 1930s, and by the 1980s, they had optimized every system for reliability and performance. The result was a machine that rarely surprised its operators in bad ways. It started reliably, ran consistently, and delivered predictable results shift after shift. What owners particularly value about D8Ls is their incredible versatility in blade and ripper configurations. The same base machine could be set up for production dozing, finish grading, ripping hard rock, or land clearing simply by changing attachments. This adaptability meant contractors could handle diverse projects with a single machine, improving equipment utilization and return on investment. Modern specialized equipment might excel at specific tasks, but few machines match the D8L's breadth of capability. The D8L community includes some of the most dedicated equipment owners in the industry. Online forums, parts networks, and knowledge sharing keep these machines running long after conventional wisdom would suggest they should be retired. Owners swap tips on rebuilding transmissions, extending undercarriage life, and maintaining peak performance from engines with tens of thousands of hours. This collaborative ecosystem ensures D8Ls remain productive assets rather than becoming expensive paperweights. Number 3. Caterpillar D1MN. Now we're getting to the heavy hitters, and the D11N might be the most iconic super-heavy bulldozer ever built. Introduced in 1986, the D11N was Caterpillar's largest bulldozer for many years, and it established benchmarks for power and productivity that competitors struggled to match. The D1N tipped the scales at approximately 230,000 pounds and came equipped with a massive turbocharged diesel engine producing around 770 horsepower. These numbers alone are impressive, but they don't fully capture what made the D1N special. This machine was engineered to maintain that power output hour after hour in the most demanding applications imaginable: massive open-pit mines, enormous earth-moving projects, large-scale land reclamation. What makes the D11N irreplaceable is its reputation for near-indestructible durability. These machines were designed to operate continuously in environments that would destroy lesser equipment. Caterpillar engineers, drawing on decades of experience building super-heavy dozers, created systems that could absorb punishment while maintaining productivity. The frames were massively overbuilt, the undercarriages were engineered for extreme loads, and every major component was designed with generous safety margins. The D11N's mechanical systems, while sophisticated for their era, was still fundamentally mechanical rather than electronic. This meant they could be understood, maintained, and repaired by skilled technicians without requiring specialized diagnostic equipment or software. When something broke, which was relatively rare, the failure mode was typically mechanical and straightforward to address. Modern D11 variants with their electronic controls and emission systems simply don't offer this advantage. Mining companies that own D11Ns face a fascinating economic calculation. Modern D11T dozers offer better fuel economy and lower emissions, which matters for environmental regulations and operating costs. However, the D11N's proven reliability, its ability to operate in regions with limited technical support, and its mechanical simplicity create compelling arguments for keeping the older machines running. Some companies now have D11Ns that have been completely rebuilt multiple times, with virtually every component replaced, yet they maintain the original designation because the fundamental machine design remains superior for their applications. Number 2. ACCO Super Bulldozer. Here's where things get genuinely weird and wonderful. The ACCO Super Bulldozer, built by the American Crawler Company in Italy, is arguably the largest and most powerful bulldozer ever constructed. Only a single example was built, which makes it both irreplaceable by definition and fascinatingly unique in heavy equipment history. This absolute monster weighed approximately 183 tons, yes, tons, not pounds, and measured over 40 feet long and 20 feet wide. It was powered by two 675 horsepower Cummins diesel engines for a combined output of 1,350 horsepower. The blade alone was 23 feet wide. This wasn't just a bulldozer, it was a mobile earth-reshaping platform that defied conventional understanding of what tracked equipment could be. The ACCO was built in 1980 for a land reclamation project, and it worked for several years before being retired. It spent years deteriorating in a scrapyard before being rescued by equipment collector Enzo Pagani, who partially restored it. The machine now resides at the Historical Construction Equipment Association Museum in South Dakota, where it serves as a testament to the audacity of 1980s heavy equipment engineering. What makes the ACCO truly irreplaceable isn't just its uniqueness, it's what it represents. This machine embodied a moment when manufacturers believed that bigger was always better, that any engineering challenge could be solved with more power and larger components. The ACCO proved that such machines could be built and operated, even if the practical applications were limited. Modern equipment design has moved away from this philosophy, focusing instead on efficiency and technology over raw size. The ACCO's very existence challenges assumptions about what's possible in heavy equipment design. Every component, from the massive track frames to the dual-engine drivetrain, had to be custom engineered. This machine didn't benefit from decades of incremental development like the Caterpillar D series. It was created almost from scratch, which makes its successful operation all the more impressive. Nothing like it will ever be built again, making it literally irreplaceable. Number 1. Caterpillar D9G. At the top of our list is a machine that might surprise you because it's not the largest or most powerful bulldozer ever built. The Caterpillar D9G, introduced in 1974, earns the number 1 spot because of its perfect combination of capability, reliability, and continued relevance decades after production ended. The D9G represented the culmination of everything Caterpillar had learned about building large bulldozers up to that point. It weighed approximately 100,000 pounds and came with a turbocharged diesel engine producing around 385 horsepower. These specifications made it a large, capable machine without being so massive that it limited versatility or required extensive support infrastructure. What made the D9G irreplaceable was its introduction at a critical moment in heavy equipment evolution. This was the last D9 before electronics began creeping into bulldozer design, the final iteration of pure mechanical power and control. Operators describe it as the most connected, most responsive bulldozer ever built. Every control input translated directly to machine action without computer mediation, creating an almost telepathic connection between operator and equipment. The D9G proved itself in every conceivable application and environment. From Arctic construction projects to desert mining operations, from tropical land clearing to mountain road building, the D9G handled it all with remarkable consistency. This versatility, combined with legendary reliability, made it the default choice for serious contractors around the world. Many companies bought their first D9G in the 1970s and kept it running through sheer determination and pride. What truly sets the D9G apart and secures its place as the most irreplaceable bulldozer is the active community that refuses to let these machines die. There are specialists who focus exclusively on D9G restoration and maintenance. Parts are still available through aftermarket suppliers. Knowledge about optimizing performance and extending service life continues to be shared and refined. The D9G isn't just surviving, it's thriving decades after production ended. The D9G represents something more than mechanical excellence. It symbolizes an era when equipment was built to be maintained indefinitely, when operator skill directly determined productivity, and when the relationship between person and machine was unmediated by computer systems. Modern bulldozers are objectively better in almost every measurable way, but they can't replicate what the D9G provided, a pure, direct mechanical experience that skilled operators genuinely miss. These 10 bulldozers prove that sometimes they really don't make them like they used to. From the Komatsu D475A's intimidating size, to the ACCO's absurd uniqueness, to the D9G's perfect balance of capability and simplicity, these machines earned their irreplaceable status through decades of reliable service in the world's toughest conditions. Modern bulldozers offer undeniable advantages in fuel efficiency, emissions control, operator comfort, and safety systems. But they've sacrificed something important in the process: the direct mechanical connection, the bulletproof durability, and the straightforward maintainability that made these older machines so special. When companies rebuild 40-year-old bulldozers for the third or fourth time rather than buying new equipment, they're not being nostalgic or foolish. They're making calculated decisions based on real-world performance, reliability, and economics. These machines will eventually disappear from active service, but their influence will persist. They set standards for durability and performance that modern manufacturers still reference. They trained generations of operators who learned that great equipment responds to skill and rewards expertise. And they proved that when engineering, manufacturing, and design come together perfectly, the results can be literally irreplaceable.